Let me paint you a common scenario. Whilst weaning your baby, they will happily eat anything that you've prepared, and with gusto even. You feel elated, maybe even a little smug, when they happily chomp through all sorts of veggies, fish, and weird and wonderful foods. And then, around 18 months, they start to refuse these beautiful plates of perfectly balanced meals with a clear no. And only want to eat toast. Sound familiar? This can be frustrating and infuriating for someone going through this childhood stage. So how can we raise healthy eaters who have a positive relationship with food? In this video, we're going to be breaking down picky eating and how we can stop meal times becoming a battlefield or having to cook multiple dishes at each meal.
It's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Now, from a developmental point of view, young children will start learning to assert their autonomy around the ages of 18 months to around the ages of 2 or 3. This is a key developmental stage in children when they go from being entirely dependent on others to expressing a greater need of independence and control over themselves and the world around them. You may notice your child saying no more often during this stage, wanting to do things by themselves more rather than having it done for them, and you might also start seeing pushback around food at this time. Children have so little say in their day-to-day lives, with so many decisions made for them at all times, that food can actually be one area in which they're able to assert their independence by deciding whether they literally will allow a food to go into their mouth or not. Another thing to keep in mind is that children have an inbuilt intuition about what their bodies need and also have the ability to regulate their food intake according to their needs if these needs are respected and supported. As we grow, this intuition is taught out of us as we are bribed to have one more bite or finish the food on our plates, or are rewarded with food as a treat, or when we're feeling sad. Many of us lose this intuition and then try to relearn it as adults with intuitive eating, self-help books, or courses. But if we can preserve and foster that embodied trust in our children, we can actually raise naturally intuitive, healthy eaters. You may have seen tips and tricks on how to hide vegetables in children's meals, such as adding them to smoothies, hiding them in sauces and meatballs, chopping them up finely and adding them to rice dishes, and these are all valid ways of getting your kids to consume vegetables, but they are not helping us teach them healthy eating habits or helping them develop a positive relationship with food. So what can we do? Lead by example. Now this is key. We cannot expect our children to eat food such as fruits and vegetables and healthy proteins, etc. if we're living off processed foods and soft drinks ourselves. We cannot expect our children to sit at a table and eat all of their meals when they see us having snacks on the sofa, for example. You also cannot expect your child to eat regular meals and snacks when you yourself are skipping meals or eating erratically. Children are constantly observing the world around them and wanting to take part in the activities of the people around them, and they eventually learn to eat the foods their parents eat. So if you want your child to eat certain foods, you need to be seen eating them yourself. If you can skip meal times, why can't they? If your child sees you skipping meals, they may start to question the importance of regular meal times. Especially breakfast, which if skipped may actually affect their learning abilities at school. So make healthy food choices, enjoy your own food, and the kids will follow. A great way of setting an example is also by allowing your children to take part in the cooking process. Having a stool in the kitchen so your child is able to help you prepare vegetables, stir salads, crack eggs, mix sauces, etc. Obviously always ensuring that they're safe, and they will most likely be keen to taste the fruit of their labor. Involving them in the cooking process also helps them with their need to assert independence, as well as teaching them some valuable life skills. Share the responsibility of feeding with your child. Now, when it comes to teaching parents how to raise children who are a joy to feed, dietitian Ellen Satter is the go-to authority figure. She has developed a framework called the division of responsibility, which refers to the fact that both the parents and the child have a responsibility when it comes to feeding. By adopting this method, it can provide an environment for the child to explore and naturally decide what they eat, as well as learning to self-regulate around food. And it can take away the stress of meal times for the parents. So what is the division of responsibility? In very broad terms, the parent or caregiver is responsible for what, when, and where the child is fed. This means that it's our responsibility to choose and prepare the food, provide regular meal times and snack times throughout the day, and decide where these meals will occur. So for example, if you don't want your kids to eat certain foods, don't have them in the house. The child's responsibility, on the other hand, is to decide how much or whether they eat. The parents will need to trust that the child will be able to determine how much they eat of what is given to them. Now, this can be seriously challenging for some parents.
This is the worst!
I know because I seriously struggled with this too, but it really can help shift those power struggles which can present themselves at the dinner table and cause a lot of mealtime stress. By having predictable, routine meal times and sit-down snacks rather than all-day grazing, your child will most likely come to the table hungry but not starved. And what do we do when mealtime comes around? Ellen recommends not cooking different meals for your children, but ensuring that there are a couple of healthy side dish foods present which your children will like, and then let go of control and allow your child to decide what they will eat. You could think of it as including maybe a food that they love, a food that they like, and a food that they're familiarizing themselves with, for example. Then let the child decide how much and what they will eat of this meal. If a child does not want to eat something, she recommends saying you don't have to eat that and to really mean it. Now this one can be tough, but really make an effort not to bribe your children to eat. Promising a dessert if they finish their main meal will only make the dessert seem like a reward and the main meal seem like something they have to get through to get to the good stuff.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Bribing will only encourage reluctance and reciprocal control. It can also put a lot of pressure on a child and make mealtime stressful for them. Trust your child when they say they don't want any more rather than asking them to take another bite, as this will make them lose touch with their own hunger and fullness signals. Children will get their nutrition throughout the day and weeks, so if they don't feel particularly hungry at that meal, they can make up for it at the next predictable meal or snack. Offer up foods family style. So instead of plating of food up for your child, serve your meals family style. This is with different foods in bowls on the table and allowing the child to serve themselves or to ask for what they want if they're unable to serve themselves. This will allow the child to assert their independence by deciding what and how much they will eat. As a parent, you have control over what is presented, bearing in mind to always have something that the child will like as part of the overall meal. Once at the table, enjoy your own food and stop focusing on your child's eating by commenting on their food intake or cheering them on or bribing them, as we discussed earlier. Put yourself in your child's shoes. Imagine if you went to a dinner party with some friends or loved ones and throughout the meal everyone kept commenting on what you've chosen to put on your plate, asking you to eat your peas before eating your bread, or asking you to take a few more bites when you've decided that you're full. It'd be pretty annoying, right? Imagine being asked to try a food you don't really fancy and then being told, "Come on, just try it, just have one bite, come on, just for me, please." This happened to me with my daughter, and let me tell you, it was not only frustratingly annoying, but also eye-opening for me. At one point, she even tried to bribe me by offering me £1 to eat something. This made me realize just how irritating it must feel for her when we would do it to her at the dinner table. By providing food in serving bowls and trusting your child's intuition, I have found that some days she will devour a whole bowl of vegetables, while other days she will shun them for the carbohydrate option or just eat the protein. It really is quite incredible to see how in tune children can be with their own bodies. Change your mindset. In his book, My Child Won't Eat, Carlos Gonzalez helped me realize that sometimes as parents, we may overestimate how much our child actually needs to eat. The first year of a baby's life is a period of extreme rapid growth, and the baby's food intake can reflect this. Once the baby reaches toddlerhood, the rate of growth slows down somewhat, and we will see this in the level of appetite in our child. They may go from hoovering up every meal and snack to appearing to not eat much at all during the day. Now, this could spark worry in a parent or caregiver, but in most circumstances, children will not starve themselves. We also tend to overestimate how much a child can eat in one sitting. Children have smaller stomachs and cannot eat as much as an adult in one meal, so they will need more eating opportunities throughout the day. Generally, their appetite will vary according to their period of growth and activity, and you may notice appetite increasing during growth spurts or periods of higher activity like when children start going to school. My daughter, for example, tends to be ravenous when she comes back from school, but then not as hungry at dinner time. By trusting their needs and providing predictable feeding routines, we'll allow the child to embody their trust and maintain their internal cues of hunger and fullness. When thinking about mindset, try to put yourself in your child's shoes, as we spoke about earlier. Imagine what meal times would be like if you were the one sitting in the booster seat, being bribed or scolded for not wanting to eat something unfamiliar or strange, cheering you on for taking another bite. Weird, right? Make mealtimes pleasurable and a relaxed environment, and in time, your child will eat what you eat and thrive. Keep presenting food even if the child has refused it beforehand. Now, it is said that a child will need to be exposed to a food around 10 to 12 times before they start to like it. So if they've tasted a food and do not like it, do not despair. Just present it to them regularly on the table as part of the family-style meal and lead by example. Again, put yourself in your child's shoes. They are so new to this world and are constantly exposed to situations and items which are foreign to them. That can be quite daunting and scary, so it's no wonder that children tend to stick to what they're familiar with. I mean, wouldn't you? I don't really like the term picky eater because once you put yourself in their shoes, you can see that it's more of a case of familiarity than pickiness. New foods, new smells, new textures, they can all be a little scary. We cannot expect our children to have as wide range of palate as fully grown adults, but they will get there in time. By setting the example of nourishing yourself, you may find that one day your child will want to taste what you're having. Children innately want to mirror adults' behaviors. My daughter often asks me what I'm eating and then will ask to take a bite. Sometimes she likes it, other times she doesn't, but that's okay. Now, if you are worried about your child shunning vegetables and want to encourage them to taste them, then you could try something called tiny tastes. This encourages children to taste a very small amount of a fruit or vegetable of their choice repeatedly outside of meal times. Cut a tiny piece of that food, no bigger than a fingernail, and encourage your child to either lick, taste, chew, or swallow it in exchange for a sticker on a sticker chart. Turning this tasting into a game outside of meal times can encourage your child to be more inquisitive with foods which are new to them and expose them to a food enough times to begin to like it. When studied, this intervention was highly successful and very popular with children and parents. Now, it bears mentioning that if you are at all worried about your child's eating habits or are noticing that they are not thriving, then it is absolutely valid to seek professional help. If you found this video helpful, be sure to click that like button and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with our future episodes. Until next time, buon appetito!